start the video. We have the audio mode. Hey, he's a good looking fella. Hey. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello to you,
Hello,
Wesley.
everyone.
Hi, Taran.
Hello.
Hello, Deep.
Hey, Dean.
Hi, Nadu.
Hello.
Hi there. And hello to Leanne as well, who's going to be kind of the administrator for this conversation. Thank you so much to everyone who has come onto this call. And thank you especially to our panel of speakers who are friends of mine in the events industry, who have been either speakers at my last masterclass or were going to be speaking at this weekend's masterclass, which obviously can no longer take place anymore because of this global pandemic that we have at the moment, which has totally changed many of our lives, totally changed many of our businesses, and has just really just totally changed the look of what we thought March, April, May, and the rest of the year was going to be. So even though the physical masterclass had to be postponed for this weekend, I really wanted to get you guys on this call because you are not only my friends in the events industry, but you are inspirations to me. You are the people that I look to for advice and for guidance sometimes in my own business journey. And I thought, even though I have quite easy access to all of you, there's going to be many people on the call that don't have access to people like yourselves. And I thought, you know, we can have a chat kind of one-on-one, or we could have a chat together as a community that has all been affected by this. So on the call, we have Deep London in the UK. We also have Taran O'Doherty from Yahire, which is a corporate and private event furniture hire company. We also have Wesley Mendy, who is an events broker who really brings suppliers and clients in the events industry together and has been doing that for many years. And we also have Nadu Placca, who is a event planner that does mainly creative events across London and the UK, Africa and America. And she's actually in South Africa at the moment on this call. So thank you all for joining me.
Thank you.
And I know things have changed so much in the last 2 weeks. We're all just trying to really figure out exactly what's going on and how we are going to deal with what is really uncertain times, unusual times, unstable times, and how we're going to really figure out the next moves in terms of both with our businesses and personally. And I just want to let just as a creative, as an entrepreneur, and as a small business owner, any of you feel free to answer. I just want to know, what do you feel like we should all be focusing on at the moment in this events industry, or as small business owners? Like, what should we be looking towards right now in such uncertain times?
I think, Dean, if you don't mind if I speak on this, I think that one of the most important things that we need to be doing now is not shying away. We need to still be showing up. We need to be present. We need to be visible. It's so tempting at the moment because it's so big what's happening right now, and it's so scary, and we all have so many feelings and so many things that are going on in our personal lives as well as business challenges. But it is so important to actually be proactive and keep showing up for people online as much as you can. We can't shy away from this time. People actually are out there, they're looking for things to do, they're looking for positivity, they're looking for words of wisdom. So actually be that voice that your clients need right now. Don't shy away from it at all.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Marseille?
Go for it.
Yeah. How do I? Am I on the screen? Do I click a button?
No, you're on the screen. You're on the screen.
Okay. All right. I think what we have to realise is that we've heard all the cliches. It's unprecedented. We've all felt it. It's come down like a hammer blow, like a Thor hammer. But I think we've got to realise that this just requires an understanding that we've all fallen into real freezing ice cold waters. Yeah. I'm using some kind of imagery here, but like a ship, goes on a path, you can see it's going along where it's going to, you can see the shoreline. We've hit cold waters. We've got to take some time to adapt. We've got to take some time to remember what we are intrinsically, yeah, what skill sets we've got. People like Yahire, as led by Taran, you've seen over the last week, the incredible things that they've done in taking what they are intrinsically and then readapting them, to be able to apply for other markets, which Taran will obviously tell you more about. Also, about being a bit more inventive. But we've got to remember that it is like an odyssey, or it is going to be an odyssey. In our generation, we've never had to go through this. We've had a kind of similar sort of scenario 12 years ago with Lehman Brothers, 20 years ago when you had, in the space of 12 months, foot and mouth, and preceding that, the 9/11. But it's about laying the field now. So like was said earlier, you have to, stay in touch with your clients. Remember what you are intrinsically. Stay in touch with your clients, because that will come back, in the due time, and confront things with a pragmatism. Yeah, be positive, be optimistic, but be also inventive based around your intrinsics, because they can be worked and adapt to it as a model for other different fields and other different services. Sometimes we don't realise actually what those skill sets we have and are, and appreciate them, because we're always constantly rolling, ticking over to, so fast that we don't slow down to actually appreciate it like someone from outside would do. So that's most important right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Wesley. Okay, Taran and Nadu.
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's very challenging. I think for everyone. I think for business owners, members of staff, everybody is feeling it right now. I think for us, the way we've looked at it is we obviously have a product that's usually in demand. So Yahire usually provide goods to around about 200 events a week, which obviously relies on the people wanting a physical product, relying on wanting to come together. Relies on a lot of travel, obviously that does as well, and now those things are massively hit by this. And the way we're looking at it is that that's not going to disappear even once this is over. Whatever that means is it's not going to just disappear, in our opinion, and just go back to the same size pie as what it was before. The pie is, we have quite a lion's share of the pie in our industry, we believe, and a growing portion of that. But we think the pie could be smaller. Now, the pie could be smaller, and there could be businesses that, unfortunately go under during this situation, which means we grab more share of it. But I think the way that what this will have done is that even with a lot of the trends that have been changing before this has happened about what we're doing right now as we speak, virtually meeting has becoming more popular. We're looking at doing, I think sustainability has obviously been a big subject for a long time, but this has really kind of brought this to the fore, really, where people traveling for the sake of just traveling, I think people still physically will want to come to events. Certainly the wedding industry, people that I don't see that being as affected, but some people just meeting for the sake of meeting. I think also with the border issues, that will go on for a lot longer. So we've been trying to see the positives, and I think even in the worst times there are opportunities. And I think that if you can see what the new things that people are after, different ways of doing business, different, I think if you can adapt, it's about adapting in business. It doesn't really matter what it was like before really too much. I think if you can resonate with your customers and give them what they want, then you're going to win at the end of the day. And I think whatever them needs are beyond this and moving forwards, then then you'll kind of be in a good position, and that's what we're working on.
Okay, thank you for that. And Nadu?
No, I think likewise what Wesley and Taran were saying, it's quite interesting because we've never been in this situation before, definitely uncharted territories, and I think it's definitely one to maintain communication with your clients. The industry is definitely going to change, and I think it's going to be a lot easier, like similar to what you were saying, Taran, for small businesses to go under with this. I think it's something that, you know, even though the government are now offering this help and other things, it's just a grant. It's still money that has to be paid back. So it's just another loan, debt, or whatever, however you want to look at it, that you then have to kind of work towards to get yourself out of. I'm in South Africa at the moment because one of the new arms of the business we were investing in was a tourism element of doing events abroad. So as you can imagine, it's like completely hit in that respect. But one of the things that I'm actually grateful for in looking at this as an opportunity is seeing actually what's it going to be like on the curve as we come out of it. And a lot of my business now in the entertainment and arts industries has led to the continent more in Africa. So I'm hopeful that with this being one of the continents with the least cases globally, that people will be on the bandwagon of actually wanting to travel out here afterwards and do more events. But you just don't know. So you just have to cover as many different angles as possible and just ensure that your ears to the ground with things that are moving and when people are planning. One of my clients reached out to me about a tour, and which is planned for October, and it is still looking to go ahead. So I think people are looking a good 3 months out, just in fact of what's happened in other places where they've been hit a lot more, and seeing that actually this may be the wave that we're going to look to roll to. So I think anything 3 months out, we can start thinking and planning, and I'm just working towards it as if it's happening, and if it doesn't, then we'll push it back. But if it does, then we're prepared and we're ready to go.
Okay, great. So talking about that, so at the moment, everyone that I'm speaking to, client-wise or friends in the industry, etc., everyone's looking for this hope. Everyone is looking for, you know, when do you think it's going to be safe to kind of come out and play again, in a sense? You know, we are obviously on a UK lockdown at the moment, and many other countries have followed suit, where we are not just allowed to do events, but we're not even allowed to see some of our loved ones, some of our family. We are having to social distance. We're seeing, you know, maybe 1 to 2 people at a time, or just one household at a time, if even if that's allowed, you know. So a lot of people are looking for some hope out there. A lot of people have been hit really hard by this. I know yourselves included. And it will be good to even hear about how this has affected you and your businesses. Like, how has it affected your livelihoods? How has it affected your businesses? Obviously, we are, for anyone that's just come onto the call, we are speaking about the effects of the coronavirus, COVID-19, across the globe right now, but especially in our industry, the events industry, which is all about people, it's all about socializing, and it's all about celebrating together. So I don't know who wants to answer the question first on how has this really affected you, as like personally and business wise, or whichever one you want to share, you're comfortable sharing.
Did you hear the silence? Everyone's doing so well.
You know, I'm happy to go first. Like, I was on a tour across Africa. So we started off in Ghana, we're moving over to Senegal, then doing Kenya, then South Africa. Had to cut that short. My daughter goes to boarding school in the UK. Had to fly her over just in case borders closed, which they did. We had like 2 days to get back to South Africa, because I was like, I'd rather be in the sun to deal with this than in the cold. And like, had to fly my fiance. Like, it was just crazy. So like, all of that is one thing, and I think it's taken up to this week for me to get my personal life on track, and to be able to start looking at clients and the stuff that I have to do for work. And even like, there's new stuff coming in daily, like new grants, new opportunities, my insurance companies, and it's just so overwhelming. Like, how, like, I have to make phone calls from abroad, so I'm always on Skype typing up, and it's just actually very frustrating. So for me, I think it's been very interesting. And I don't know. I don't even know that hope. I think I'm just working to the skill set that we have, like Taran, like Wesley was saying, in terms of, you know, how can we use this in a different way coming out of it, moving forward. We do training as well as the events. So I think all in all, this just is something that technology is definitely going to take a bigger play in. I think a lot of people are coming together in different ways, and us within the events industry will have to look at that as a new challenge and how we adapt to it.
Definitely. Good. Thank you, Nadu.
I think for how we've personally been affected because of the volume of events that we do, we usually employ 70 full-time staff to be able to do that kind of level event. We've had to, like many others, have had to make the decision to, you know, furlough or the staff, and, you know, having to kind of get rid of very good people is a very tricky thing. You know, for our season, January and February are usually our quieter times. We actually had a brilliant February. We was up 48% versus the previous February. And we start gearing up a lot for our year from that point onwards. And it kind of, I think, well, it hit everyone kind of at the same time, roughly, give or take a week, really. But we kind of, you know, going down to walking around a warehouse that usually has 70 people inside it, to all of a sudden it's just me walking around. It is a hard thing to do. You know, I think of the, you know, the people and things like that. I'm happy the government have, you know, done something for the staff. You know, I think that is what it is first and foremost. It is for the staff with the 80%. And that is, you know, massively important. I think what is really crucial is how we recover, because businesses, if they don't start recovering and making revenue, then that's all fine and well. That kind of benefit's not going to be there forever. On a personal sense, it's quite weird, because obviously you're usually busy day to day doing what you do, but when all of a sudden, you know, my product, we've got a lot of product, it's no longer in demand. Well, all of a sudden there's been crazy things that have happened to me where opportunities come out of this as well at the same time. You know, I think I've got businesses that are offering me percentages in them, which, you know, to get involved with, which I wouldn't have been able to do previously because I would have been too busy. And looking at things that could be what people are after in the future. I think in all situations, I think there's so much fear going around, is that if people just want to sit around for the next couple of months and not, you know, make themselves better, keep themselves busy, enjoy what they do, you know, enjoy, you know, the sunny weather. I'm sunburnt, probably can tell. But, you know, just being able to look at the positives of this situation and just trying to be a leader in the situation of making something happen, because whilst everyone's sitting there with fear, waiting for something that may or may not ever happen or may not end, what's the point? It's kind of like people are waiting for someone to click off the pause button and press play. It's not just no one's going to press that. You have to press that and decide yourself to just crack on. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Very well said. Okay, deep end, Wesley.
Sure.
Go on, Wesley.
No, you take the floor.
So I'm in the wedding industry, and I knew a few weeks before that they actually said this was going to happen, that we're not going to be able to have mass gatherings, and I had an inkling this was going down, because one of my clients imports the masks for the NHS, and he had said to me, this is going to get really, really bad, I'm going to move my May event, can you just deal with it now? As soon as he said that to me, I was like, right, he knows more than anyone else I know at the moment, because he's closer to it than the people around me. So I went about making corona contingency plans for every single one of my events. And that meant just calling up all of the suppliers and saying, in the event that we do have to postpone, what are your kind of conditions? What would you do? What is your availability? Let me get it all together now. And created a plan for each event. And then I called up every single client and had the conversation with them. Did not panic them, but said, look, I'm doing this proactively, because if it does come down to it, I'd rather that we'd sat and we talked about it beforehand, then we come back to it afterwards, but you're in a worse kind of emotional state if we have to move this, because I'm dealing with weddings, and already brides and grooms have got so many emotions, and then putting something like this into it, it's horrible. I've had people on the phone crying. I've had some that have been really just strong about it and saying, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just going to have to go ahead. Could you please just deal with it? And I've been kind of managing all of their emotions and then trying to manage my emotions as well, because we are, I mean, we're sort of, we're dealing with it better now, I feel, as a country. But 1 week ago, even 2 weeks ago, a lot of people were in denial that this was happening. We didn't want to feel it because it's so big. I mean, in our lifetime, something like this has never happened. The last time anything like this happened, it was the Spanish flu in 1918 on this scale, right? I know, Wesley, you said there were a few other times, but nothing on this scale. That was ages ago. And so we haven't got the skills and the emotion set to be able to deal with it. And I think people are in mourning. They're in mourning for the year that they thought they were going to have. I'm in mourning for the year that I thought I was going to have. Last year was our biggest year. This year was going to be even bigger than that. And so I was sad for a good week and grieving for that time that I've lost, for the changes. For my kids, I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. They're not able to see their friends. I've got to explain why we've got to stay at home now. There's so much that people are dealing with, that people have been in shock. And now they're starting to come out of that shock a little bit. And they're starting to adjust to this new way of living. The initial shock is starting to come out, and we're able to see what else we can do. So looking to what can be done online. I coach a lot of the wedding industry, so I coach female wedding suppliers, and I'm getting them now to think about how they can pivot their business. What can they do? What do they have? What do they know that they can teach or they can give online? And remembering now that we've got to probably reduce our prices a tiny bit for things online, because massive, £1,000, £1,500 courses and tutorials and things are not selling, but the under £500 is still selling, because there are people who do have money. They have their savings, they're being paid still. So every time I hear that the government, I unfortunately fall through all of the cracks, so I get no support whatsoever, but I'm fine. So I'm just glad that other people are getting that support, because you've got to think about it in this way, that there's still money flowing around the economy, and that money is there to be moved around. So let me provide something that people can buy that is affordable, but that people need right now. So it comes back to that not being afraid to sell. You can still make money right now, albeit a little bit less. And the money that was kind of coming in for me over the next few months in all of our events, I'm just kind of seeing that that's a pause on that money right now. It will come, but it will come later in the year or next year. And there is still 2021 business out there. Things have changed. I can't do face-to-face consultations, but we're all on Zoom right now. I'm using Zoom. There's Teams. There's lots of other ways that you can, you could even FaceTime if you're going to have a consultation with a bride and groom. You can do it this way. Obviously, caterers and cake makers is a little bit more difficult to do that, but you can at least have a conversation about it. So yes, the landscape has massively changed, but we need to be really creative at this time. And I'm seeing some amazing things coming out of the entrepreneur online community in particular. And it just shows you that, like Taran said, there is opportunity here, and we just need to look for it and find what fits with us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great answer. Okay. Wesley, last but not least.
Okay. As you know, as a magazine, we produce a number of events which bring together event buyers and event suppliers. We saw an immediate slowdown in bookings around the turn of the year. So like what was just being said, we had a kind of a noddle on where things were going. Being somebody that does watch every single news channel, I was pretty au fait with everything that was going on in the Far East. Also because I was going out there on an annual holiday to Koh Samui in February. I was saying to our guys, look, I think we're going to have to maybe restructure our events across the Easter period. We managed to host our last event at the Curtain, our 2020 club event at the Curtain, which had, an amazing turnout, full turnout. But we knew that it was going to be just a matter of days, not weeks, before the industry literally grind to a halt. We've restructured our entire calendar. So now our events for April, May and June are scheduled for July, August and onwards. What it's doing for, where are we now? So the June event looks like the July event may even be pushed back to August, because we don't know where things lie at the moment. this is all brand new to us. But once, like was said earlier, we're in a situation where we're falling into ice cold waters, where we were in shock. We're now starting to adapt. You know, we're going to head for the shore. I know I might sound like Boris Johnson or what have you, but please don't compare me. But we just have this scenario where it's totally new to us. And as business owners, you know, we're having to remodel our costs daily, if not twice daily, you know, because news is being fed out all the time. Where we go as an industry, yeah, there are going to be, unfortunately, companies that go to the wall because they run on such tight margins. There are going to be those who don't have necessarily tighter margins, but you know, they're going to maybe be forced into circumstances where they're weighing up whether or not it's good to continue or not. The reality is that for the immediate short term, this is not going to be something which is going to be, oh, it's all going to come up roses. You know, we're going to have a few months of absolute hardship. But the key is in that period and in that time is A, getting to know your clients that you maybe didn't spend enough time with, you know, getting to know them just that little bit more. Also, you know, forging those relationships with those clients that you never managed to get on board before. Maybe there was a missing chink or something like that. So the moment we all get out of this stay at home period, that should be what people are then pushing on. I know sometimes there are pressing concerns because you're looking at the money that's got to come in, the cash flow inwards, but investing in what, like a farmer does. A farmer won't just look at the you know, the damaged part of the field. He'll go and, you know, he'll lay down the other part of the field, which is rich and fruitful. So you've got to go and do the hard work. You've got to be prepared to go out there. Now, yeah, this is the first time that we've seen a global situation like this since 1918, or as my dear old late nan would remind me, since 1940, the 1940s and World War II, certainly. But it's a shock because I want to say we've all lived comfortable lives, so we're not, you know, none of us are like that, but it's just a matter of the fact that it's a shock to our system. Where we go from here is to make sure that we adapt, that we're flexible, that we're inventive. So like us as a business, what we have is 2020 Club events, which we put on. That's where the bulk of our revenue comes from. We've had to change our calendar, being realistic. You know, you can't just go, right, oh, well, it'll be over in a month's time. You have to change your calendars. So you have to change your business models. You similarly have to come up with new things. So we are producing a large event at the end of the autumn for event organised. It's like a small exhibition, but it's going to be something that is entry level, accessible to everybody of all sizes of budgets, not just those who can maybe afford to go to a square meal or to go to one of the bigger, larger shows. So it's going to be something that gives back to the industry. Right now, you can put a lot of currency in your tank and you can engage and build a hell of a lot in terms of the relationships that you have out there. You know, the old saying, keep busy or don't, you know, and you die, and you can't afford to do that. It's either, you know, do that or and get out of the game. As sad as it seems, you know, my wife said to me this morning, she said, how are things? Like us all, you know, you're getting up, you're so stressed. Taran, if you need someone to come to the warehouse with you, yeah, you know, we can have a game of goal to goal from end to end with a football. Because I'm not doing anything at the moment. It's literally like 5 phone calls a day. I used to make 75, 80 phone calls a day. But it's a new reality. And, you know, the 5 calls that I do make during the day are, you know, there to build, to engage, to last, to be fruitful in the long term. And if we do plan for a future, then great. But as my wife said to me, if this all goes pop, what are you going to do? And as I said, it ain't going to go to pot, but let me tell you now, I'm going to make a decision, yeah? And I said, and, you know, I've made my decision, and my decision was looking at this pragmatically, realistically, not, it's also fairy and dust and lights and everything else, it's all going to be wonderful. No, because it's a cold reality. And, you know, if not, then you have to go and do something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, if this is your dream and you're not able to stay in the market, you know, you can always take a count of 10, go away, dust your cobwebs off, go and do something else, make sure you're bringing in the beans, and then come back into the market at another time. You know, it's not going to be, you know, something which is closed off to you. The most important thing is that you realize that it's not the end of the world. You know, if you are looking to get into this industry, or you've just entered into it, or maybe you've been in it for a short term, medium term, if you have to drop out of it, you know, go away, just keep making sure that you're living, you know, because if you haven't got a roof over your head, then, you know, your mental health is going to go south totally. So I don't know if you heard me, I can't hear you.
Oh, what? Sorry. Yes. No. Time is pushing on. No, but I definitely could hear you. Thank you very much for that. We've got 1 or 2 questions coming. Welcome to the newcomers that have just come onto the call as well. I can see the numbers are going up. We are right in the middle of the conversation now. Please submit your questions into the box, and I'm going to get to some of them shortly. The next question I do want to ask, because, you know, we just, Wesley just spoke about keeping a roof over your head or bringing in the money, basically. And Deep and also Taran touched on money as well. And obviously at this, you know, we, a lot of the time our clients and even us as business owners, we try and sometimes say that it's not all about the money. There's that famous phrase, yeah. But as you can see, once there is uncertainty, literally there is the shock, and then it's like money. You know, everyone is obviously trying to work out what they're going to do to survive, what they're going to do to keep, you know, paying their bills, keep a roof over their head, feed their children, etc. And so my next question is for all of you, really. But what would you say now to the business owners who are kind of living like month to month, paycheck to paycheck? They haven't got really any reserves, any savings in the bank. And then on top of that, they have got good relationships with their clients, but then those clients are now asking them potentially for refunds. You know, I've had it myself, and I can speak from both a person who was, you know, I was due to get married next month, and that's been postponed, and, you know, lots of other plans. But now we're also getting customers saying, some of them are asking to postpone, but some of them are actually asking for their money back. So obviously we've got Deep as a wedding planner here, then we've got Nadu in creative events, you've got Taran in corporate events, and Wesley as well. So what do you guys say about for clients that want refunds at this time?
Well, at the moment, in terms of what's happening, currently your normal T's and C's would apply. If they are postponing, if you're postponing, that's what I would push for. So I've tried to encourage all of the clients to postpone. We're not cancelling any events. None of my events have been cancelled. They've been postponed. And as we're going along, that's how we're kind of pushing them along later on in the year. Always try and get them to postpone first. In terms of returning deposits, you've got 2 choices here. You can either look at your T's and C's and see how you fare in that. I'm not a legal expert, so I can't speak on that matter, but I've seen lots of different things out there on what counts and what doesn't count, in terms of whether your contract is frustrated because it can no longer be performed by either party, or whether it's the venue that have said, no, you can't do this anymore. It's the government. There's lots of different kind of scenarios here. But you've got to look at it 2 different ways. One is you're a business owner. You need to survive too. If we all started returning deposits, we would all go out of business. We would not be able to survive in that way. So what can you do to mitigate that risk, to encourage them to postpone and to not have to give the deposits back? On the other hand, these are your customers, and customer service comes into play here as well. What can you do for these clients? I've seen lots of people doing things like, we will move your event over if you want to move it to next year, and all we ask for is, say for example, it was a 50% balance it's still owing, would ask you for 25% of that balance just to keep us going and keep us through. If you've got a good relationship with your clients, you can say that, but then the final 25% would be payable 4 weeks prior to the event, whenever that event will be. And right now, you need to be working on things that work for both people. That's why I'm saying be proactive. Don't be reactive. If you're sitting back and you're waiting for your clients to contact you, you're going to have more of that kind of upset to deal with. You're better off picking up the phone, no matter how hard that conversation is, and say, look, this is what we are currently doing for all of our clients. This is how we're going to go about it. This is how you fall into it. Here are my assurances to you. This is what we will do for you. This is what we will not be able to do for you. Front load it with your customers. Don't shy away from that conversation. I know it's tough. It's really tough. There's so many emotions and everyone's upset, but we've got to have sympathy for everyone in this scenario as much as possible. But we need to survive as businesses too.
Yeah, and that's the there's a very thin line there, I guess, of what is really fair, and at this time when we've never been in this situation before. Taran.
Yes, I think for me it's a little bit different with Yahire, because I think with some of the kind of more specialist services or wedding planners, people like yourself, Dean, and Deep and things like that, is that people really see you as an integral part of their wedding, so they want that whenever they may get married, whenever that may be. For Yahire, it's a little bit different. I think everyone's obviously trying to encourage people to push things on, and trying to, let's work together on this, can you postpone, and things like that. I think some people, they don't even know what the future might be. They're also potentially could be cautious, are you about to go bust? So why, if within line with the T's and C's, which they're within their rights, if they're within their rights to claim the money back, then Yahire have gave the money back. We've had many situations where our terms and conditions are very soft, so if you want to cancel more than 7 days in advance, you get all your money back. Wow. Even if you booked a year in advance, even if it was a £20,000 order. So we've always created policies that are for business and not to create T's and C's that is anti-business. And we know that most people traditionally at normal times won't cancel. These are not normal times, and obviously the rate of cancellation is a lot higher. Now, what we've been faced with, again, the volume of events we do, we can do 250 events in a week, we average at about 200, but we have probably 50% of our work come through to us with only 2 weeks to the event day. So what has been a big issue for us is not that, oh, this event that was booked, is in 4 months' time, or this and that, or coming up. We have this pipeline that is constantly growing week on week, which now obviously there is no market, that's just completely just gone. So we've had situations where people are cancelling an event with the day before, and they're saying, can I have my money back? Well, the T's and C's say no. Well, we can either be we can either be unreasonable. They're saying, someone's passed away, seems to be, or someone's got this illness, or things like that. And you can either decide to go, should we, charge them? Shouldn't we charge them? Often we've always taken the lenient route on most things, even with charges, even with losses. We're long-sighted, we've always thought of, what will it be to be the best, and not to kind of be like a crab that grabs everything and things like that. What's kind of killed me a little bit is the amount of people that have made, I've seen companies put in their cancellation policies on their footers of their emails. 3-month cancellation in red writing. Do you want someone to book your event? I think that creating T's and C's that is to protect yourself isn't therefore, that's what they are there to do, which is that they're there to serve a purpose that both parties know where they stand. But business is about relationships, and you do need to adapt and think what is going to be the best for the long term. I think we've been quite lucky with a lot of the venues that where our clients have got events going on have had very strict cancellation policies. So therefore we've profited out of their cancellation policies at those venues being so strong. Then what's happened now that the market is completely gone for a while is that we're now trying to spin it on the other way, which is, okay, well, why not book your event for May? You can cancel with a week free notice. People need to soften the cancellation policies, because if in a market where there's fear, no one wants to pass out their money. So people need to create greater measures and be more flexible to give out terms instead of going, oh, well, it's a month now. Well, actually, I'll wait. And we have so many people that call us the day before for a job the next day through fear, and that's with a 1 week cancellation policy, let alone people that have got 3 months, 1 month. and whatnot. So I think that as an industry, we need to be more flexible, more supportive towards business, not anti-business approach, and create some liquidity in the movement of money in our industry is what we need to focus towards.
Oh, wow. Okay. Great answer. And Nadu.
No, I think like what Deep was saying, everything has to be done on a contract by contract basis. Like, it's never going to be like a blanket thing that you have. I think with Taran having 7 days out, we use Yahire. Love you guys. But you know, every situation is different. And if you've had clients that you've had for years, or they're new clients, and it's just being able to kind of manage everyone and see that you can just have it the best way that works for everyone, because you don't want to aggravate a situation, you don't want to lose business, you want them to be able to come back to you when this all clears up. So yeah, it's very delicate, and I think, you know, every individual process has to be looked at. We're quite lucky in that effect that most of our business is from September onwards in Africa, across the continent, so I'm just fingers crossed that it will push out.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you. And Wesley?
In terms of cancellations, well, we're pretty fortunate as a company that we have our clients book way in advance, and we have great relationships with them. So it allows us to be able to, because we have a calendar, a forward-going calendar for the next 15 months, it allows us to be able to roll them over into another event. But the key aspect at this time with this incident has been to make sure that we get on the phones. So like the point was made earlier, don't be sitting there in a passive manner waiting for them calls to come, because otherwise you're going to get a whole heap of headache. So the key to our strategy was, when we knew, like everybody else, we could see this wave coming in to the shoreline, we were like, right, you know what, let's get on the phones, let's speak to our clients. Prior to doing that, let's be decisive. Yeah, let's rearrange the calendar, use the government guidelines, and in speaking to the clients proactively, you know, we didn't have anybody say, oh, can I have my money back? I mean, we do have a policy where there isn't a cancellation. It's just literally, because there's only X amount of seats at the spot. Once you book it and you pay for it, then that's it, you know. But we do obviously give people, you know, the statutory rights, which are that they get like their 14-day period, etc., cooling off, da 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 da. But the key aspect was actually getting on the phone, speaking to people. A lot of this is common sense, but if you don't get out there and you don't speak to people and you don't show flexibility, then it's something where you're only going to create a whole bundle of problems for yourself. The old saying is, you know, grab the bull by the horns, yeah. And this is what the situation literally is like. It's like having a ball running around in a room. Yeah, you've got to take it by the horns, and that means confronting the most god awful things. None of us ever felt that, probably at the stages of which we are in our roles, that we would have to maybe go back and be so humbled as to be able to speak to maybe our financiers or such and such about things that we only really confronted in the early days of starting our businesses. But the key to success in life is to be able to always be humble, as they say, to love. And if this is something that you love, then be humble to it. And if that means then, you know, having to confront and ask for a payment holiday on this or have a payment holiday on that, then do it, confront it, you know, be pragmatic. And similarly, we approached it in that manner, and we have had, I can't remember a single cancellation. No, we had one cancellation. It was a gentleman who booked on the very, very day that this 2 weeks ago, like a fortnight ago today. And his name's Adam. He knows who he is. And bless him, we met him at Confex, and he followed that up by saying, I do want to do some stuff with you. He signed in, and then he emailed us the following week and said, because of everything, he's trying to just rescue his company, stay afloat as a going concern. That's a big word for me, a going concern. It means that he's got nothing coming in, but he just wants to keep on operating, staying above water. And you have to just show some common sense, and then, you know, we relax the rule, and you know, rather than being maybe black and white, and then, you know, potentially losing that customer. And then it's the net effect, because he's got a circle himself of people, and they are people that will probably come into your business as well, as customers in the future. So it's about using some common sense. And if you do have to gain deposits, or there are deposits to be gained, then yeah, absolutely. But I think the key now is showing compassion in those relationships, engaging with those people, and then, yeah, we'll see, you know, the midterm, I say midterm, in say 6 to 8 months, but certainly the long-term effect going through. Sometimes it's better to not be black and white. Sometimes it's better to just soften it.
Yeah. No, great stuff. No, thank you. The next question is going to be directly for Taran, because we've got someone in the chat that's basically asking about survival. Yeah. So basically, I was one of the people that was in denial about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I was saying to everyone, we're going to be fine. This is just, you know, it's just another version of the flu. You know, I was having disagreements with my partner. I was telling all my friends it's going to be okay. And I really did not react to this very quickly. But I have heard about other companies literally just firing all their staff on the spot, shutting their doors, and just saying, listen, guys, we're going to be back in like 2 to 3 months or 6 months when everything's blown over, but we're not taking any chances. But from speaking to Taran, and over the years, he's a very mellow, soft-spoken guy, but he's very resilient. Yeah, he's a fighter. Yeah, and obviously being the only one here on this call that has got so much staff, so much space, so much stock. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you've had to adjust and adapt in the last few weeks, and just tell us exactly what's going on, and even how we can support some of the projects that you're a part of right now, because I know you're doing a few things.
I think people have obviously controlled their staffing costs. I think people made that choice before the government kindly made their offer to support people with the 80%, which is obviously a good thing to do for the people. We kind of made a call where we wanted to do it with our staff in a wave of reducing people down, and we wanted to give it the best chance possible. Our wage bill we can spend in the region of around about 130 to 150,000 pound a month. You know, there's not too long where you can play around with that kind of money when your revenue is going down by 80%, 90%, 100%. So we kind of dealt with the staff situation, and they all took it as well as you could take a situation like that. And they kind of, the journey that we've been on together is this collective journey. So they kind of understand that it wasn't an easy choice, but you know, we're working on revenue streams that we can do so we can start bringing people back whilst our product and our services isn't in demand. The loans, I think obviously it gets the big headlines. You know, for us as a business, we have taken loans in the past. The loans they're offering are not massively different to what they've offered in the past, barring there's a larger pool. The banks don't even know how to facilitate them. They're now bombarded with 30 times the volume of calls they used to. So I think the loans is something. I think the concern for people with the loans is you take out a loan and you don't even know what you're returning to. You know, if I took out a loan now for £150,000, I wouldn't be buying chairs. I also wouldn't want to be doing it just to sleep on it either. So I would be doing it therefore to try and spin something that I think is going to be in demand, because I wouldn't want to just sit on, whilst most people want to sit on cash. If you're sitting on cash, yes, it keeps you afloat for longer, but if you're going into a market which there isn't the demand there, then I'm not saying it's not in the events, but we're quite, you know, we're creative and we want to look at different opportunities. Something we did do, obviously, they've created a lot of changes. The corporate personal rental used to be that people had much more rights than commercial leases. Our lease, we actually was due to pay a quarterly repayment of £78,000 on Monday this week. which was for the quarter. We didn't want to pay that amount. Now, what obviously we could have done, which a lot of businesses were asking for, was a holiday. Now, a holiday for 3 months, 6 months, or it's you still have to pay it back. So we kind of, you can only kick the can down the road for so far before it starts then going to catch you back up. And then what you might have done in the interim of that is gain loads and loads of loans, even more than you might already have. And then you then just can't repay it. So you're just kind of giving yourself more rope. What we decided to do instead was I negotiated my rent review 3 years early. So my rent review wasn't on a 5-year term, wasn't due for 5 years. I decided to discuss renewing my lease now 3 years early, which then meant that they offered me a 3-month free period now, which means I could be void of that 78 grand. And then I pushed a bit harder and got 4 months free now, which therefore means that instead of me having to pay that 78,000 at a later date, I now don't have to pay that. And then also on my next quarter, instead of it being 78, it's now going to be 52. So I therefore know that after another bad quarter, and what is going to be a bad quarter after, for a while, I'm then therefore reducing my longer term costs. The wages have been sorted out. Loans are things that we're looking at getting, but as I said, we wouldn't probably be looking at chairs with it because we've got enough of those. But I think it's just really just trying to keep proactive, and not just waiting for something to happen. I think we're business owners at the end of the day. That's what people forget. I'm not passionate personally about chairs. I'm a business owner that likes to we've created something. We realise now the mechanisms of what we have. We market very well. We have 10 salespeople, 11 salespeople that are used to answering a call in a certain way. We're used to delivering 200 events a week. We've got a large store. We've got a lot of different systems in place. And we're now realizing that the option of doing business, putting other businesses through our working machine could spit out gold for them because their product's more in demand than ours. So what we've been trying to do to keep busy is we've teamed up with Warren Evans, who's a UK bed manufacturer, and ourselves, and we've created Boost, which could provide small units for homeless people, or for the NHS. With the NHS side of it, we've also teamed up with Hire Space as well on the project as well to be able to offer our services to there. With the Warren Evans side, we're kind of in contact with Crisis and Shelter. So we're trying to gain good positive PR out during these situations, because during these situations of crisis, whilst people want to cry and worry about what they've lost, there will be leaders in these situations, and there will be people that come through it and have had integrity and haven't been fearful. And those are the people that are going to be the ones that will be remembered, people looking at whilst they're kind of drowning, the people that are sailing in the ship. So I think something else we're also doing is we've teamed up with Vicky Patterson, who's a celebrity, who we've now doing something with Age UK. So she got in contact with Age UK, and we've partnered up with a few brands where we're going to be sending out care packages to, we're not sure exactly on the numbers yet, but it's going to be a high volume of people across the UK where we're accepting the goods because we have all the warehouse space. We're taking in all, decanting all of the items, putting them into boxes, helping with the logistics behind it, and the management of that. And so far we've got coming to us 350,000 jars of jam. We've got 700,000 bags of crisps, which was offered to us today. We've got things such as jellies, we've got cans, we've got more than we could possibly deal with. So if we can't do it all through Age UK, we'll then be giving that to the NHS staff. So there's good PR involved in it. We've got staff that can actually voluntary work whilst they're furloughed, which means that they're not going to be there scratching playing Xbox all day or whatever they're going to be doing. So they can do something positive with their time. And it's the same for me, is that, as I said, I kind of enjoy this time because it reminds me of when I started the business, which is use the skills that you have to do good with it. Whether if you can't make money, you might as well do good. So and then, you know, you can only take what's there in front of you, and right now there ain't no money. So we're working on projects with brands that can, we think will be brands that will be good in the future, and then doing projects that are beneficial to the wider world.
Wow, that's so inspiring. I think everyone on this call right now is really inspired. We're getting a few wows in the comments. So to everyone, what does the events industry look like then? What to everyone here that you had a plan for what 2020 was going to be. Now this has obviously come and interfered with all of our plans and years and our days. What does the other side of this look like? Does it mean diversifying more? Does it mean maybe not investing as much right now? Does it mean you know, maybe our businesses are going to grow more because we're going to have less competition? Unfortunately, as you said, some people are going to survive, some people are not. So what does everyone think about how this is going to look once it's all over, hopefully in this kind of 3 to 6 month bracket that we're all looking at?
Who wants to take the floor? Me? All right, I'll keep it really short. Happily. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are indeed.
Okay. The events industry, well, it's there. It's visible. Whereas before, it was like a nice little heart graph. Yeah. It went, and then it just went like that, and we're getting a little pulse. The pulse, yeah, it's still there. You know, we're still alive, but the reality of the situation is going forward. Those who see their way through it, yeah, sure, they're gonna stand out, yeah, because you know, it's gonna be pretty marked. There's gonna be a lot of people that a lot of us know that are whom are clients or people that we know, those on our databases who, you know, will have passed on, gone into other things, etc., etc. It's going to be a different market entirely. I'd like to come back to the human perspective on this. Taran just said something pretty marked about how he's taken the organisation and the elements of what they do intrinsically and then readapted them, and then amongst other things, other activities that they're invested in are things such as the Age UK thing. And I think that's really, really important that you might think, do you know what, I just want to just be left in my own calm, peace of mind, etc. I've got too much going on. But reach out to those that you might think, do you know what, it's too much of a bum-ache to give them a call. Reach out to them, give them a call. You know, there might be people that you were meant to get around to talking to. This is the time where people actually do need, you know, a voice, you know, a community around them. You might not think it, but similarly, Dean, you called me last night, and after what the Chancellor said, for, you know, and you heard me, I was, you know, doing my pieces about what this is going to do for small business owners, you know, and directors of limited companies, etc., etc. And sometimes you just need to be able to talk to someone because, you know, we all need a thing called empathy. And, you know, my phone is open and my line is open to absolutely anybody that wants to call myself, either to, you know, a quick word or maybe some advice or maybe some direction or introduction to somebody else, you know, absolutely freely any time of the day, because it is a totally different field. But there is a way through it. There is a way through it. And it is by networking hardcore, you know, forming those relationships and realizing that, you know, that little small effort goes a long way in terms of your future. And it also is something that I think everybody would love to receive. I mean, we talk about old people being lonely. I think there's a lot of people in this event industry that are feeling a hell of a lot lonely at the moment, you know, and they could really, really do with a call. So I'd like to say to people, just try and make 3 or 4 or 5 phone calls a day. You'd be amazed at the reception that you get and how good it makes someone feel afterwards. You know, it ain't all doom and gloom. You know, there are people out there that can maybe point your way through so you can see a clearer perspective or be a bit more optimistic. And it might not be in this industry. They might be introducing you to something else. So, you know, you're always amazed at for what happens in conversations. So, yeah, that's my perspective on the way forward in the next 6 months.
It sounds like you're going to be putting your number on in the chat, Wesley, for everyone to give you a call. Seem very, very open to it. That's really good. Yeah. Wesley's always up for a chat. I could easily speak to him just for an hour and a half alone.
As Taran knows, you've got to ring the bell. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to direct a question to Deep right now, because I think as a wedding planner and as a mother and someone who is into kind of personal development, creating content, etc. I just want to know if you got just a few tips for some of the people watching this, or on the call right now, on the meeting with us, on what they could really be doing every day to kind of keep themselves mentally strong and in the game, so that they can actually see the other side of this and stay in business, you know, once this is all over.
So it's really important to remember that there is going to be life after this. There are going to be events after this. I can see that it will change, but there is going to be so much that people will want to celebrate afterwards. Weddings, and I'm talking because that's my jam, are weddings. They'll always be there. They will be there next year. I booked a bride recently, and what she said to me, this is only last week, for 2021, I booked her through a consultation like this. And she said to me, you know, it's really weird at the moment because people aren't posting. They're not posting out things. I can't seem to see who's doing anything at the moment. And it's really weird because we're trying to plan our wedding at the moment during all of this, but it feels as though we shouldn't be. And I felt so awful for her, because those who are still trying to plan their weddings for next year are getting a very different experience, because a lot of business owners in the wedding industry are not showing up. And so in terms of what you can do, like I said at the very beginning of this, show up for your people. I love what Taran said, that, you know, there isn't money around at the moment, so go and do something good with what you have. Put on a free class, go live on your Instagram, answer questions. There are Facebook groups popping up all over the place. I run the Luxury Wedding Lounge for female wedding suppliers, and I am giving so much content in there at the moment. I'm trying to go live as much as possible. And obviously I've got 2 kids, so it's me trying to do it in between everything. But I know how people are feeling. They want to connect right now. So give them that opportunity to connect. Like Wesley said, make your calls whenever you can. If you've got kids and you're trying to homeschool, it's a little bit of hell right now trying to do everything with kids running around, trying to run a business. You can't be operating in your normal capacity, but I'm really open with anyone that calls me that you will hear my kids in the background, and one of them is completely loony. She will be rounding me the entire time I'm talking and then disappear as soon as you're off the phone. So just as you're sure you're aware of that. And they will be like, you know what, no, absolutely fine, not a problem at all. I've got nieces and nephews, I know how it goes. So everyone's operating at a very different level. So don't think you've got to have a perfect environment. It's not realistic. I'm in my office, which is in my summer house, which is why you can't hear them. But I've had to kind of steal this time away to do it. This is not my normal. So do what you can, but put your mental health first. But I find that connecting with people, being part of Facebook groups, going live on my Instagram, giving as much as I can for free, giving as much value as I can right now, it's helping me. It's helping the people that are listening to me. But I feel like it's helping me more. It's helping to keep me sane throughout this. And it's helping me to feel connected to my industry. I love the wedding industry. So I'm in love with this industry. I've been in it for a decade. I could not love it more. And I still need to feel like it's happening for my own sanity. And I need to know that this is going to be there at the end of all of this. And when we come back to it, and it will. And in this time, you just need to connect with as many people as possible. See what you can do to bring a bit of money coming in. If you can pivot any skills that you've got, bring them online, do that. Have a good thing, do a big sort of brain dump of all the skills you've got and see what you can give. Even if it's for free, you're not going to harm yourself giving things away for free at the moment. Exactly what Taran said. It's building up good PR, but it's also building up good feeling as well. People will remember at the end of this that you looked after them during this hard time. People are, so you've got cake makers who are doing online tutorials free, you know, bake with me classes. There's a caterer who's going to be giving cooking lessons to my group soon. And there's so much that you can do with that. All of these things, these skills that we're giving out, we're doing for free. But at the end of it, they're going to remember your name. So when it comes to recommending to someone else in the future or booking for something that you've got, your name is going to be higher in their minds than someone who sat back and just disappeared during this time.
Okay, great answer. Thank you. We've got a question on the chat from Kashi who says, I know it's hard to predict the future now, but do you think the impact of COVID on the event industry may cause people to sober up rather than party? Does this mean the industry will suffer the repercussion as people will have less desire to gather socially? So as in, even when we're told that this is safe again to socialize, to come out of our houses, to celebrate, to party, to marry, etc., do you think it's going to still take a little while for people to get back into the mode of not fearing, not being scared? You know, I know at the moment, even before the lockdown, when I was seeing my friends, we were touching elbows, we weren't shaking hands anymore and stuff like that because of just all the information we kept being told. So is it going to be a while before people, I guess, take off their masks and are ready to be around other people again on the same table as them, drinking, eating, dancing? What's you guys' thoughts on that? That's open to everyone.
I'd like to answer. I think, especially as most of my events are festivals now, it's a really good question. I think it's going to have a bit of a peak and it will probably level out at some point. I know Festival announced this week that they're ready for the next one's happening in September, and it was received in a very, very negative context just because we are all still living in this at this very moment, and it felt very insensitive to be talking, you know, still within the time frame that we're discussing, about that 3 to 6 months ahead, but it's still a delicate topic. So I think we just have to kind of play it by ear in certain aspects. I think for some of my larger festivals that I will have at the end of the year, it's maybe taking the stuff that we have at the moment and just using it. So like you said, when you come, you greet with elbows. If there's opportunities for people to have certain cups or different ways that they can wash their hands and, you know, feel a lot more secure. It's all about media. The media feed into this so much more than anything else, and that's where a lot of people's fear is going to derive from. And so it's kind of keeping your ear to the ground, finding out what the latest things that are being said, because that's where it's going to drive. Even if it's a case where it's all settled down and everything's fine, there's still going to be someone or a group of people that will be more in tune and a bit worried about what's happening. So you kind of have to listen to the market and be able to kind of react effectively in the right way. I think the scariest thing for me is that people won't want to come out. But I think then, depending on your target market and the people you're interacting with, like deep, that you're always going to have weddings. My wedding's February 2021. People will come. And if they don't, then I save some money. Dean, your wedding too. And I think for festivals, there's going to be a time when people are like, no, we need to get out. And, you know, we've gone through this, we've come out the other end and we're fine. And hopefully, you know, people will be up for socializing more, maybe in a different way. I think this experience has made us all a bit more humane. I find a lot of people I've spoken to a lot more grounded, a lot more down to earth, a lot more compassionate to other people's circumstances and people's situations. So I think as a whole, we, the human race, will probably come out of this in a much better way.
Yes, and I guess that was one of the questions I wanted to ask as well. Like, in terms of the positives of this for all of you, and I can say personally, I've found a bit more time for myself. I've been taking naps and sleeping during the day, which I don't usually do. I went for a jog this morning, which I usually don't have time for. I've been doing things like picking up my mum from work and dropping shopping to my sister and stuff like that, like things that I would always just be too busy for, usually. But now I'm finding time to actually think, you know, it makes you think about what's most important, you know, because, you know, in the UK, people have gone from, you know, living their regular lives, going to Starbucks and Costa and nice restaurants or to the pub, to literally some people arguing and fighting over like loo roll and hand sanitizer and stuff like that. It's just totally changed people's outlook and perspective, and making people focus on a lot different things. You know, everyone's got their own thing that they're focused on it, but most of the time it is coming down to family, it's coming down to food, and obviously our lives, keeping the roofs over our head. So what is the actual positives that you guys have gotten from the outbreak of the coronavirus, which is, you know, I say that sensitively because I know some people are really ill, some people may have even lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, lost loved ones, and also what positives have come from like even this lockdown that we're now currently facing for all of you. And by the way, just before someone answers, we've only got about 15-20 minutes to go. So probably after this, we might take someone, one of the participants on the call. You can actually come onto the call if you want and ask a question, you know, live, not just by text, by videos, or if that's what you want to do. Okay, so first, guys, what positives can you take from this, or what positives can we take from this?
It's similar to you, Dean. I mean, I have been wanting to work out since I had my first child 6 years ago. And now I'm actually being able to do that every day with them. I've not had the time, I haven't had the chance, the opportunity, because it's being a mum of two and running a business like I've been running. Some things have had to slide. So it's been great that I've got that time to do that with them and actually do it. Joe Wicks is amazing. I've fallen in love with him. He's incredible. So I'm doing that workout with my kids, and we're getting active and we're spending more time together. I'm also less busy.
That's really Joe Wicks?
Joe Wicks, yeah, he's doing a morning workout, 9 a.m. Monday to Friday for the kids. But I've been doing that with them, and you can do it as you're, as you're going along, and it's really, really good fun. So that's been an amazing positive. They've actually got the time to do that sort of thing. But I've been baking with the kids. I've been spending time with them. I'm not constantly on the phone, and I'm not rushing through their bedtime because I need to get onto my evening calls and consultations with the clients as much. So I feel more relaxed in that way, that I've got that. It's obviously, I'd rather be busy because I'd rather the business was kind of up and we were bringing in clients constantly. I would much rather that. But if I have no option, then I'm looking at the good of it and I'm able to spend time with them. I'm able to feel more relaxed. I'm able to connect with people that I've been waiting to connect with. I always have a long list of people I want to network with. And now I've got time to do that, even if I've got the crazy kids in the background as well. And so there are positives in this time. You can take it to learn a new skill, read the books, listen to Audible. There's a lot that we can do to pass the time if we look at it like that. And get ready because you will have business to conduct after this. So do all those things, upskill, get ready for what's about to come, because we will all be needed afterwards.
Love that. We will all be needed, exactly. So don't devalue yourself, people who are maybe struggling a little bit with clients and with money right now. We're all still going to be very much needed once this is over. Who wants to answer that next?
I will, very quickly. And I'll keep this down to 30 seconds. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody thinks they're the champ until they get punched in the mouth. Yeah. So what we've done is we've taken a massive, massive hit here. We've all been strolling around, maybe living it, doing it, and now we're on the floor. You know, we've taken a 10 count, but where we're at is now where we're having to recover. You know, and it's like a shock to us. So getting back up and getting out there again, and seeing will there be an industry to go back into? Yeah, there will be. Will it be at the same level? No, like a fighter, you're always waking up to working your way back. You won't go in at the same level necessarily. So it's going to be a different circumstance. A fighter maybe being used to fighting on a world title fight in, say, Vegas in front of 25,000 fans. You know, losing the title, getting knocked out, it might be then going back and fighting in front of 1,500 people at a local leisure centre. It's a big shock to the system. You adapt to the circumstance. It's been a great period for me. Just a little bit of downtime. Been doing everything from doing the fence in the garden but most importantly, getting up on my films, but the classics that I use to inspire me. So I watch everything from the whole of the Rocky movies Yeah, I think Creed 2 is the best of them all. You can debate with me. Watching survivalist movies like The Martian, yeah, because you adapt to the circumstances when you're left for dead. Things like Bridge on the River Kwai, yeah, which is an amazing movie, David Niven, which is all about pride and your life actually representing something despite the circumstances that you're surrounded by. So there's a hell of a lot of inspirational stuff out there, you know, which is there to take you. Maybe you're sitting alone and maybe there aren't people that you can reach out to, or you can't reach out and contact and converse with as you would do on a normal daily basis in an office or speaking to your clients because of the downtime, because of the slowdown. But it's given me the ability to actually go and use these alternative sources and things that I never maybe had the time to watch before. And yeah, tonight's The Godfather. So I'll let you carry on.
I love it, Wesley. You are definitely the king of upliftment. Anyone else want to answer that before we get one of the callers on?
Is there time? Can I say something as well?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
Have I got the green light? Yes? Okay, awesome. I jumped on the call a bit late, but I got right exactly the point when Bajwa was speaking about media, about creating content. And I was going to say that I relate to that because that's exactly what I've been doing. Normally, I'm creating content for other people, but now I've finally got time to finally finish the projects pending that were kind of giving me the excuse not to start putting content out there for myself. And now I have this huge backlog of stuff that I want to generate and to get out there. And I feel like it's an excellent time to also catch up with stuff that I've been meaning to see, and like movies that inspire me. I relate to what you just said right there, Wesley. And on top of that, to try and get into a place where I get to create my own stuff. And that for me is amazing because I feel like the downtime is really a time to start producing a bit more. And I couldn't be any more grateful for that. That's what I wanted to say. And that's what I wanted to kind of acknowledge Bajwa for bringing up, and Wesley as well for sharing with us just now.
Pleasure, mate. And by the way, I'm digging the Benetton t-shirt with the old, it's the 1984 emblem.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'm showing my age, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I have
Thank
no idea.
you so much. Thank you. Okay, so thanks for that, Serban. Let's get a question now, though, because we've literally only got about 15 minutes to go and time is going to fly. So is there anyone else that's got a question I would like to come on right now for either all of the speakers or one specific speaker? Again, we have Taran from Yahire here. We have Wesley from Club 2020. We have Deep from Opulence Events London. And we have Nadu from Event. Sorry, very sorry.
Hi, well, I do.
Yes, please go for it.
Probably more aimed at Deep, I guess, as it's a wedding-related question. So, fortunately, most of my weddings are from August onwards. But one particular wedding I have in October is in Barbados. My question is, because we don't know how long this is going on for example, I was due to be in Indonesia last week, and I found out from Indonesia that there's going to be no international entry for 6 months. There's a high chance that this could continue, you know, throughout other various countries. So at the moment, I've got a bridal party asking me, should they just go ahead now and postpone this to 2021? Or is it worth taking a chance and still going ahead with October 20th, which is a bit down the line, but we still don't know what's going on. So I think at the moment it's like 150 people that are traveling, and, you know, deposits are paid, flights are paid, Airbnb are reimbursing a lot of people who have accommodation booked, but there's all these different rules for different airlines. So it's like, do they just, for peace of mind, just go for next year? Or I don't really know what to advise at this point, because we just don't know.
And that's the difficulty with all of this. We truly just don't know. We don't know where we stand with this. We don't know what October is going to be looking like, because a lot of events are being pushed to that last quarter of the year. So October, November, December, which is traditionally quite quiet in the wedding world, especially in the UK, is going to be jam-packed. And I think people are worrying how they're going to deliver all of the events in the time that we've got. to be on the safe side, because there is going to be a massive impact, and we don't know how long the fallout is going to be from that. So if you can have the event in place, but with the ability to move it if necessary, and obviously that's dependent, because you mentioned flights, Airbnb and things like that, and looking at all of those terms and what the cost would be if you had to then move it again. So if you did book it for the October date, but then this kind of carried on for a bit longer and you weren't able to do it, what would be the impact of it being next year? And what I would do for the client is maybe present both scenarios to them, give them all the information possible, and then help guide them on the right decision. If it was my client, I would more than likely be saying 2021 is your safest bet. If you want to be sure that nothing is going to be going on at the time of your event, and you want to make sure that the money you're putting towards this is safe, then 2021 is going to be the safest bet. But I do go on the side of caution where possible. So it just depends what your clients like and what you are like as well. I hope that helps.
Okay, no, that was a great answer, Deep. Thank you, Sue, for the question. So we just
Thanks.
got Agnes. That's going to be our last question for today. Please.
Hello, hi.
Ask. Hi, Agnes. You got a question? Please.
Yeah,
ask.
hi. So first, I just wanted to say it's been really insightful and really productive for me. I run an annual award for mums on social media called the Glow Mama Awards, and I was actually really lucky that I actually had my event on the 7th of March, and then the following week everything kind of got shut down. And my question is that, well, the plan was after the awards, you know, I was going to go out to sponsors with my deck, you know, it's the second year, start talking to brands about, you know, getting money and so forth. And now just doesn't seem the right time to be doing that. What would your advice be to, you know, to start going out and, you know, getting the brand out there and to start talking to brands? When would that be? When would there be an appropriate time to start doing that?
Can I answer? Hi, Agnes.
Hello.
It's actually quite interesting because I'm in a few groups with like different freelancers, different women who are in business, and a lot of people are actively still asking people, which I think is a bit odd in this time. Like you said, it's a bit like, you know, egg before chicken. But equally, I had a brand reach out to me this week for doing an event later at this time of year. So I think the best thing you can do is definitely be armed and ready, and maybe just speak to people that may have direct relationships with brands so that you can just speak to them one-to-one, have feelers. I can definitely put you in touch with a few people that may be in line with the business and just see how everyone else is playing it, because I think it's safe to say that people are looking at a good 3 to 6 month incubation period for their businesses, but knowing that it is going to pass and it is going to be a curve that we're going to be rising towards. So I think definitely be prepared, because you never know, and there's nothing wrong with asking as long as the right way, but being prepared and making sure you've got your, you know, ducks in a line so that when people are ready, it's like, actually, we're going to allocate our first bit of spend towards you.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Agnes. We are literally about just over 5 minutes from the end. So I just want to really thank our audience for coming on, all the participants. We had a, you know, decent number on today, almost 40 at one point. But also want to obviously thank our speakers who have taken their time out of whatever they're doing, even if it's not necessarily, even if it's not, you know, business isn't booming right now, there's still stuff to do, right? Because we still all have to plan ahead. We've all got families, we've all got things we want to do for the next coming days, weeks and months. And, you know, the phones might not be ringing off the hook, but I know that you've still got stuff that you need to do. So can you just, each and every one of you, just leave our participants with your closing words about what you think about the current state of the events industry, what you're planning to do next, your thoughts on the coronavirus, just whatever you want to say, whatever we've discussed. It's just time to wrap it up and have a quick little summary, 1 to 2 minutes each, and then we can end.
I think I'll start.
Can't hear you anymore, Taran, actually.
You can't, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, yes, so it must have
Okay.
been on my side.
Okay. I would say just to work on your business and use the time, you know, as best you can, because I think people will start getting into the habit of sitting around, you know, planting some seeds, doing some cooking and all of these things that people, they are nice to do. They certainly are, you know, I'm doing them myself, but I think it's a time to really think about what you want from your business, what you want from your future. Push on, you know, it shouldn't be taking too much time. You know, a bit of rest and recovery is all fine and well, but whilst everyone is sleeping, if you're moving forwards, then, you know, you're gaining some momentum to go into what is a busier time and things like that. I think it's whatever there is out there, you know, just ensure that you could be, if there is an opportunity that's going to come about, you've got a good chance of capturing it. Because if you're not doing nothing and you're sitting static, then, you know, it's like someone knocking on your front door and offering you, you know, whatever you kind of wish. It's just not going to happen. So I think really focus on, be out there, and just keep active, really. That's what I would say.
Great, thank you. I'm not sure what that noise is. But can we get Wesley, D, or Nadu?
One's typing.
I would just like to say, I think everyone should equally, like Taran was saying, utilize this time. Like if it's reconnecting with friends, being able to do things that you haven't managed to do before, things that have been on the back burner, get those things out of the way so your mental health is in check and your personal life is back on point, because then you're going to be ready and effective enough to do what you need to do for your business. Keep your eyes open and keep communicating, as Deep said, with your audience, with your clients, to ensure that, you know, you're still in the forefront of everyone's mind and you haven't kind of dropped off the face of the earth. But yeah, just utilize this time. It's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's all lessons. So I think we all have something to take from this.
Thank you.
I love that it's all lessons and it's not a bad thing. If we try and just look at the positives of it, there is so much that you can do. Like I said, read those books, call up people that you haven't had time to connect with, those things, those lists. And we've all got lists, right? We have lists for lists sometimes. Go through that, get done what you can, so that when the time comes that everything starts to pick up again, and it will pick up again. It's impossible that it won't pick up again. It might look different and we will have to adapt to the way that it looks differently, but it is going to get better, and you need to be in the strongest position possible to be able to attack that and go get that business. And at the same time, remember, there is still 2021 business out there. Those people still want, and I'm talking for wedding industry specific, people still want to get married. They're still looking. So get out there, put your content out there, think what you can do. If you're a wedding planner, go live and talk about what's happening now and what people could do. Offer to help people. Don't be silent. And even if it's only, you know, it's heavily reduced because home life doesn't kind of allow you to do as much as before, do little, but do something. So even if you have to slow down a bit, don't stop. Still do something and keep yourself out there. Keep yourself active. Let people know you exist, and you will be in a really strong position at the end of it. And stay positive.
Thank you, Dee. Okay, so Mr. Wesley, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, your last
sign off.
Yes.
My sign off would be a message, particularly out to those friends of mine and associates, yeah, in the industry that have lost their jobs, been made redundant. Am I there? I'm on screen. Yeah. Okay. I can't see myself. But,
yes, yeah, you're on the screen. Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. The Deep's face appeared on the screen. So yeah, my message would be primarily to those guys that I know of who have lost their jobs in the industry, would be to just, you know, remember that there is going to be something at the other side. Do, you know, remain in your networks. Maybe you have to do something in the short and immediate term. Don't be too down, yeah. You know, there are people out there that will give you a hand. Don't be afraid of asking for help. Help in any form Yeah, everyone loves to feel that they've got an S on their chest, but you'll be amazed at how many other people out there do actually have an S on their chest and will extend a hand and give you a helping hand. It might not be that they'll be able to contribute something directly, but they may be able to do it indirectly. So to those guys who have lost their jobs, you know, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get ready for the next round, because I know that they're fighters, and this is what we have to do. We're going to have to fight. For those who are making their way into the industry, maybe graduates, you know, about to leave university and thinking that there's a big almighty wall now. It's not. It's not. It's the openings will be there. It will be a totally different industry from what it was 2 months ago, even a month ago. A completely different look. But you know, there are opportunities that are there. We at Prestige Events Magazine, in the autumn, we're going to be hosting a jobs fair, you know, for people, which is free for everybody to attend on both sides. You know, both the visitors looking for jobs and also for the companies that are looking for that talent pool out there, because they've got to resupply their companies and organisations. And yeah, it's my sign off is keep your chin up. You know, we just don't have the blessing of having maybe grandparents that fought or survived during the war, the last great war, which was the last great circumstance where you had 1 minute a house full of a street full of houses, and then the next moment it was, you know, flat leveled, and we don't have that blessing of maybe some advice in the ear as to how we would deal with this. So it's all totally new, and we're in it, you know, together. But that means we must, you know, remain together, and that means conversing. And sometimes people don't like to feel they're going to moan and moan and moan and be a burden on people. Yeah, we're not. We're sharing something. It's topical. It's more than topical. And, you know, you'll be amazed at how many people have empathy and will guide you where you need to go, you know, even if they can't help directly. So that's my sign off.
Thank you so much, Wesley. And one thing you said there is that it's always better together, or we are all in this together. And I'm a big believer in that. Whether it's online or offline, I love bringing people together. I love creating communities. I love bringing already existing communities together, because sometimes, especially as a self-employed entrepreneur, a creative, someone in the events industry, sometimes you do feel like you are alone doing what you do, but there's so many other people out there doing something similar, or can relate to you, or can resonate with something that you that's going on for you, whether it's positive or something that that you need help with, you know. So I'm really glad that you guys could join me on this call today. It was really inspiring. I learned a lot myself, and we will be doing things like this again in the future. The next masterclass will be taking place later this year. Well, fingers crossed, but one way or another, we will get another masterclass done, even if it's online again. And I really look forward to having you guys join me again. So in the chat, I'm seeing people share their Instagram. You can share your socials quickly before we cut this off. But everyone, you are free to go. For those that want to still share their information, go for it. Remember, you can get Nadu on Instagram at N4DUP and at the Zoo XYZ. Deep has a Facebook group for females in the events industry, and it's really nurturing and inspiring. It's called the Luxury Wedding Lounge. You can also get Taran simply at Yahire, and you can get Wesley on his phone number, because he's going to put it in the chat. But his Instagram is the Prestige Events Mag, I think, off the top of my head.
Magazine, yeah.
Magazine, yes. So for all those that got the email anyway, all the speakers' bios were sent out in the email. Just click the link and the PDF will download to your computer, where you can see more about each speaker. You can also connect with them just via their website, simply sending emails or their chat boxes and stuff on their websites. And yeah, man, let's just try and keep supporting each other through this time. Thanks to everyone that came on for this last hour and a half. It was really inspiring. And we'll see you guys again soon. And stay safe, stay well, stay sanitized, and stay self-isolated as much as you possibly can. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dean.
Bye. Thanks everyone. See ya.
Cheers, Dean. You're a legend.
Cheers, Dean. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.